should CrossFit Health and that mission be more valuable to affiliates versus, the Open, the Games, the latest celebrity athlete, the latest person that's tested positive to PEDs? Welcome to the Fit Affiliate Podcast. It's been interesting to me. As you know, I watch the socials and see what people are talking about.
At least one of us does.
Yeah, well, that's why you have me.
Mm-hmm.
And there's, not a huge amount of talk apart from HQ and the people directly involved in the CrossFit Health Summit. And we know what the CrossFit Health Initiative started out to be, when that kicked off. And now it's being, spearheaded by the awesome Mike G. However, I notice I don't see a lot of affiliates talking about CrossFit Health Summit, all of these sort of things, yet instead it's all about the games. And I'm going to pose a question today, which might be somewhat controversial, that, should CrossFit Health and that mission be more valuable to affiliates versus, the Open, the Games, the latest celebrity athlete, the latest person that's tested positive to PEDs, all that stuff for their day-to-day business?
That's going in the recording. And we're going to get Lisa on that one. She's fired up today, folks. I'm just going to not talk. Lisa, just roll with it.
Yeah. Well, I thought it's an interesting perspective because I feel like, and I fell into the trap too in my affiliate, that we talk about what we do is one thing, that we want to save and change lives and we want to, keep people functional and keep them out of nursing homes and da-da-da. But then when they roll around every year and it comes time for the Open, and then the blood rushes from our head and that's where we go. We focus on that. And that tends to then drive us for the whole year as well. It's like, well, now we've got quarterfinals and semifinals and da-da-da-da. And it just turns into this spiral of who's doing what rather than why are we here.
All right.
And over to you.
Let me sit up for this one. First of all, backlit. Sorry, guys, but you're going to have to deal with it. I don't think... Well, first of all, they can and they probably should coexist in terms of the games and the health initiative. It's not lost on me the irony that is that, CrossFit has put this thing forward, the Health Summit, at effectively the doorstep of the Open season. And I don't know if it was really by design, but I find it to be fascinating because it is interesting for all the reasons that you just said, right? Like, okay, we have the Health Summit. It's this weekend in Austin. It's not a small investment to attend it by any stretch of the imagination. A couple $100, and I think that there is a bit of a question as to whether the Health Summit is worth it for that money, and two, I think there's a question of what's in it for their affiliate, right? So like, what that looks like. On the toes of, all right, the Open is coming, right? And so we have a pretty sizable list of people that we communicate with internally in the company. And so obviously we sent that out to everybody and told them that we were going to be going and asked effectively, who's going. And naturally, as you can imagine, based on the number of people who are going to it, there's a lot of people that are attending, hundreds, I think. I don't know what the actual final count is, but I'm pretty sure it's over 500, which is good. That's a good turnout. But considering that there's, 10,000 plus affiliates, you would think it'd be a little bit more. Now, granted, I get nobody's going to fly from Europe or South America to attend it, and there's probably a need to have a health summit in the rest of the world. But then there's the question of whether or not the health summit is necessary in the rest of the world versus America. But that's a whole different conversation. But I do think that the answer is yes. So I think it's fascinating to watch the attention of the affiliate owners currently, in that you're absolutely correct. Most of them are tied right up in the Open is coming, and that brings with it Open type things, getting the, intramurals together, doing, all the stuff that comes with it, judges, courses, this, that, and the other thing, number of people registered. Yeah, right. Line tape, trying to figure out, who's even eligible? I'm expired. Can I sign up for the Open this year for the first time ever? That's getting enforced. Like, there's all these things. And then they're like, yeah, the Health Summit, whatever. I'm not doing that right now. I don't got time for that. I'm going to focus on this Open thing. But what is fascinating to me about that is that I'll be so bold as to say one of them will grow your business. The other one might tank it. And
well,
it's probably not the ones they think I'm talking about.
Well, it's a distraction, and you're right. The Health Summit is right on the doorstep of the Open, and last week there was all the affiliate owner groups were filled with people wanting codes to dump thousands of dollars to buy pre-sale tickets to the games. And it was an interesting point that you made that the Health Summit, it's a few $100s or whatever. It's for what it is, but it's, if we link it back to that, well, which one is going to grow your business? Like, which is the better investment? Like, a week in Austin in the grandstands, or getting access to knowledge and information and resources that will maybe reshape the way that you do what you do and help you stand out, if that's what you truly want to do as well. Is like, how do we genuinely provide this next level of service?
Yeah, I think it starts with the question, which is, what business do you want to be in, right? I think everybody has this conversation around, what type of business they think they're in versus what type of business, they quote unquote want to be in. But, when the Open comes every single year, it's quite obvious that the inmates run the asylum, right? Like, in that's not meant to be offensive to your clients if you're listening to this, but the reality is that Ernie got fired up by that statement. The reality is that most of the owners that I know, they enjoy the Open because the Open is fun, and it's a good. I think it's an enthusiastic endeavor for the affiliate landscape that does bring some excitement. And I don't hate the Open for all the reasons that the Open is good. What I don't like about the Open is that the Open shows up every single year, and all the affiliates just shut down. For 10 plus years now, I've ran seminars, and part of that job as a seminar instructor was scheduling seminars and getting them in there. And every year throughout the Open, not only were people like, oh, we can't host that weekend because it's the Open. I get it. Like, you're hosting someone else's business there. So your people do come first, but you're not running classes on Saturday or Sunday anyway. So you're leaving the gym open so people can redo workout scores. I get it. Right? It's like, that's what it's going to come down to. Got to redo Saturdays and Sundays. And I've done enough seminars to watch what happens during the Open every year. Is like, the quintessential gym bro wanders into the seminar around 11:30 in the morning, mad, throwing his bag around, making a bunch of noise in the corner because the owner had to tell him that he does have a chance to redo the workout today, to resubmit his score, but he can only do it at noon during the lunch break. And the whole time he's in the back staring at me because I better end on time so he can get his workout score in. And I'm like, sir, I don't know how to tell you this, but from over here, I can clearly tell you, you have no shot of doing anything that you think you're about to do. So you might as well just go home and eat a lunch. Like, there's just nothing for you there. But he's got his grips on, he's got his belt on, he's got his 7 pairs of shoes on, and he is ready for me to take a lunch break so he can get this new score because he watched his Open videos for the last 14 hours on YouTube. He's ready to get a 1% improvement. Anyway, I digress. But the point is that they do put a lot of energy and attention and enthusiasm into hosting that, and that's fine. I think that's great, but that doesn't, like, here's what we do know. The Open is not a new thing. It's been around for a very long time, and so we know that every February and every March, it's going to be here. Why everybody gets hit like blinders every year around that time is beyond me. Like, it should just be built into your system and your model. And maybe your system and model is, we shut down outside operations to focus on internal operations during the Open. And that's clearly what ends up happening. And that's not really what this conversation is about. Although I have written an entire email chain about it to everybody. So maybe you'll be lucky enough to land in your inbox if you're on the list. But you said it earlier. Most affiliate owners will espouse an altruistic pursuit, right? If once challenged, once charged, once questioned as to, what businesses they're in, once we push them past, like, you're not in the business of selling memberships and selling CrossFit, you're in the business of selling solutions, etc. They will literally tell you that they are in the business of health, and they will give you all the talking points. But, it's the age-old adage is that, actions speak louder than words, and so it's interesting to me. It's telling to me, rather, that when something like the summit does come up, the health summit, where you have an opportunity to go and listen to and be a part of something that is much more aligned with your intention, you instead choose to give your attention to something that is a distraction, a reaction, right? Like the open shows up and takes your attention, tells you what you need to do. These are the workouts, how to do it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Versus like, I know you want to be in the business of health. And so an intentional decision would be to do more health things when you have the chance than to do less exercise competition things when asked of you. And like, if you wanted to be an astronaut, you don't get to just choose to go into space, right? There's a lot of things, but you can choose to do astronaut things. You can look up, what does an astronaut eat? What does an astronaut do? What is an astronaut training program? And you can set that identity, because identity precedes, or really action, right? So if I want to become somebody, I don't have to wait until I become that person to then decide. Like, you don't become an astronaut when you get into space, right? You become an astronaut when you make the intention, I guess is my point. And so if you truly want to be in the business of health, show me your intentions, right? And show me your actions. And I'm not saying that, like, if you don't go to the health summit, you don't care about health. I get it. I mean, maybe it's a long ways away for you. It involves a flight, a hotel. You don't have the time away. But maybe next year we plan for that. But I don't think you will, right? Because that requires some degree of intention and investment and otherwise. And I think that that's a big part of the first part of the conversation. And there's a second part of the conversation, which is, despite saying that we want to be in the health business, when confronted with the opportunity to entertain being in the health business, I think it's lost on a lot of owners as to what would they actually learn in that room from doctors. Like, I don't want to hear about keto and low sugar for the weekend. I got things to do. Like, that's the least of my concerns. Well, don't go there. But then at least tell me what you've done in the last year to invest in health, not your own health either. Or like, like, how have you better understood how to relate the large scale implications and the value of CrossFit as a whole on the development and the progression of health span of your clients? I'm open to those answers.
And I think, we do fall into the trap of thinking that, well, yeah, I want to help the people who need us most, and we want to beat chronic disease and those sort of things, and we talk the words, but as you said, like, where do those actions align with those intentions? Because doing a couple of social media posts about it, don't necessarily put us in a strong position when we actually have someone like that come into our affiliate and say, hey, I've been watching this stuff, I've seen this stuff, and I think I need to do CrossFit because I've got XYZ. And you don't have then that knowledge, that information, or even where to access those resources, because we say we do one thing, but when we're confronted with it, like, then are we fully equipped to deal with that? More so than just, well, cool, come on in, we're gonna just give you some burpees and thrusters, and we'll pick you up off the floor and we'll do the same again tomorrow. Like, and I know, that might be a little harsh. To be fair, affiliates have moved away a lot from that kind of, come in and melt your face off introduction. But when you're talking about that really broad demographic who really need to get on our lifeboats, who really need, the life-changing impact that we can give, you really need to have a bigger understanding of, broader topics in this area, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a recurring conversation for us, right? It comes back to training versus coaching. truly. And really what that comes down to is distraction versus traction, right? It's the action paradigm evaluation. In that the main reason why we see like clockwork, the open show up and then everybody's attention immediately shift to it is because your clients do, your members do, right? And that's understandable, right? It's that one time a year. It's like the CrossFit Christmas where it's like worldwide attention, worldwide leaderboard, all these things. And, the clients shift their attention to it and the gym owners feel as though they have the obligation or the necessity to match that or follow that attention, right? Be like, okay. And I'm not so boldly saying that if your clients care about the open, they're training clients, not coaching clients. But if that is like the primary thing that they're interested in, it is a very much a training-based conversation. And what I mean by that is that, it's a soundbite, but I've said it a bunch of times before, is the absence of whys, what's become wise. And what that means is that if you aren't constantly reminding people why they're doing CrossFit, right? And very few people, if anybody, has ever come in your gym and been like, I want to make it to the CrossFit Games. I'm not saying it's zero, but I'm betting that it's less than 1%. Most of those people, however, came in your gym because they wanted something. Now, but here's the unfortunate part of this training and coaching conversation. Most affiliates probably don't ask, right? Like if you came in and said, I want to sign up here, they would probably tell me what the membership rates are, and I would make my decision. And that would be the extent of understanding, learning, or communicating my why. I would be like, well, I guess my why has become a what, which is how many days a week I'm going to come here to get the thing that I know that I'm after with this thing, but you didn't ask me about it, so you don't really care about it. That's a training gym. But if you walk into a coaching gym is going to say, what brought you in today? I want to try CrossFit. Cool. Why? Well, because I saw it on TV. I saw it on the games. Cool. Why'd that speak to you? Well, because they just do really cool things. Interesting. Why would that be important to you? Maybe it's because I used to be a competitive athlete and I've been looking for that thing and it looks like the place to do it. Awesome. Why is that important to you? Right? Or maybe it's like, I've never seen humans who physically look like that and can do those things. I want to do those things. Why is that important to you? And it's not that the games are bad. It's just that as an ecosystem, we have the absence of our own whys inside the affiliate have allowed the what, which is CrossFit in the CrossFit Games, to become wise, because it's such a cool spectacle. It's such a cool thing that when it pops up, we're like, it becomes its own distraction, right? It becomes its own why. And then you are forced into lockstep doing everything you need to do to support that thing. But your clients want to do the open every year because it means something to them. And you could do a much better job of understanding what that thing means to them. And as this applies to the health versus the games conversation, is that by attending and investing time in things like the health summit, you are much better prepared to have the conversations that I truly know you're avoiding, right? Which is like, I don't want to get into the uncomfortable conversation, which might get into like, some icky mental health stuff or some personal, health issues, or, having zero confidence in what answer I should give to somebody who tells me that, like, their A1C is through the roof, right? Like, I'm not telling you should always know the answers, because that's a big curse, but I'm telling you that you should have the confidence in where to send people to get the right answers. And a big part of this, the health initiative, is better cementing and better building the partnership between us, the practitioners, the coaches, and the trainers, but really predominantly the coaches, and the medical providers of the world, who understand that health is a behavioral lifestyle conversation. It's not a medicinal pharmaceutical conversation. It's not, it's intervention in both sides, but one intervention is behavioral. The other one is purely pharmaceutical, chemical.
And, I would wager the majority of affiliate owners have, get pissed off when they hear, the joke of, they hear a physiotherapist or they hear a doctor going, yeah, I love CrossFitters. They keep me in business. They're going to send my kids to college. And, they get super pissed off about it. And It's like, well, we're not hurting people. We're out here helping people. But, you know, and you're right. That's where the CrossFit Health Initiative has been powerful, and the MD level 1 is trying to bridge that gap between the two, who ultimately want to do the same thing, which is save and change lives, but not at the expense of the other.
Mhm.
So, you know, again, affiliate owners are reluctant, you know, are sick of hearing that, but then still reluctant to head down, you know, this path too much. And again, you're right. It is whether they're, you know, feel like, well, who am I to go and learn that stuff or hear that stuff, because I'm not a doctor. I don't understand that stuff. I don't want to look stupid, like I actually don't know what I'm doing. And that's not the intention of it. Like, no one's going to turn up to the summit on the weekend and go away feeling like they were the, you know, didn't belong in that room.
I think it starts too with permission, and permission to not be interested in it. Right? Like I think that it would be a big value, it would be a big service to the community, because I know that there is a lot of affiliates out there who could give zero fucks about health or any of its initiatives, because like they likely love competitive CrossFit. They got into this because it was the natural, most logical evolution of their own CrossFit journey, was to own an affiliate so that they could do more CrossFit, so that they could qualify. And like maybe they did qualify as like an athlete, or, and dude, that's cool. There's, you know, there's no such thing, in my opinion, as bad CrossFit. There is a lot of misguided CrossFit. And, you know, if you are quote unquote a competitive gym and that's your focus, here's what I can tell you. You're fine, because if people come in and they just, even if you've just trained them all like athletes, they're going to get healthier. Like you're still helping, but maybe you don't care about the long tail, massive implications and applications that CrossFit truly is capable of. And that's okay. But here's what's important. You'll never be able to charge what CrossFit is truly worth then, because CrossFit training is cheap. In fact, it's actually free. .com has been there forever. So if you like competitive CrossFit and that's your thing, the training part of it is your thing, and you want to just train and train and train, and you want to train people, not coach them, not deal with the behavior and the whys and the, you know, getting into those things. You want to just train people, and then charge training prices. But don't go onto the forums, don't go onto the boards complaining about everybody else's pricings and why things are too much or too little or this or that. Like you're choosing to take the minimum effective value, right? You're choosing to take the lowest common denominator of price point and charge that price point, because I know you maybe don't want to hear this, but if your only thing that you care about is how good your programming is and how much your people are PRing and effectively, you know, your rate of advancement to the games, your program is not worth much, because I can download any coach's program for $10 a month, $50 a month, right? And I'm not saying that makes it bad, because dude, you know what's great about doing a business like that? You can have thousands of members because it scales so easily, because you don't really have to invest in the relationships. You don't have to care at an individual level as much as a coaching affiliate does. But let's assume that you are on the side of like, you know, fixing and saving lives with fitness. You know, that's going to require conversations. That's going to require relationships. It's going to require interactions. And those things are very resource intensive. So you better charge a lot of money. And so if I was to be so succinct as to say why affiliate owners should go to the summit, is because that is the first step in truly learning to understand how to charge what you're actually worth, because that separates you from the training program and moves you into the health span, healthcare, vitality program. And that's worth a completely different thing, not because it's just worth more, but because it will literally cost you more money to do it. But here's the downside. You'll make a lot more money per person, but you'll have way less people because of it. And that's the truth, though. And this is important because the average CrossFit affiliate isn't big anyways, right? It's like 75 people, but it's 75 people paying training prices. If you have 75 people paying coaching prices, $300, $400, $500 a month ACVs, doing all right. But if you got people paying training prices 150, 175, you need 3 times as many people. So pick one. You want to charge 3 times as much money and have 1/3 of the people? Some people, the answer is no, because they don't want to ask for $300 or $400 a month because that's uncomfortable for them. And they don't really want to have 75 key relationships. They would rather have 300 or 400 people who they could just be like, don't at me. Right. And in exchange, I will charge you as little as I possibly can to give you as most as I can, if you just promise to not drive me crazy.
Yeah.
They're two different business models, but they both work. It's just that I think personally that the single greatest initiative in CrossFit right now is health and science. And that requires a very different approach. And maybe I think that there's an epoch in CrossFit. There's an era of people who are, the 15+ year people. It's not that we all got bored of CrossFit. It's that we all got old. It's me, it's Spiel, it's Sherwood, it's the rest of us. And like, it's Jardina, like all of us, like our conversations now are not like who's doing the open this year, who's qualifying. It's like, you want to go skiing, you want to go mountain biking, because it took, CrossFit played the long con with us. And we were just like, this has always been it. 20 minutes a day to spend hours on the weekend. It's not hours a day to spend 20 minutes on the weekend. And we didn't all get there because we all learned at the same time. We just honestly, we grew up in CrossFit and we've all got 15+ years, and we're like, wow, there's millions of CrossFitters, and the number of people who could explain the application and the implementation of true actual CrossFit methodology is a fraction of a number.
Yep.
And the Health Summit is the first step towards fixing that.
And I think, and I guess that does tie in nicely as to why we're supporting the Health Summit and why we're going. We've been very clear about differentiating between the coaching space versus gurus and mentors and that sort of thing. And that's definitely not their jam. The same as we're now talking about affiliates, differentiating, are you training or are you coaching? Are you a coaching gym or a training gym? And, why we're supporting the initiative for what it can bring to affiliates. And I guess also to tie it in, I know that we have a webinar coming up next week on, is your affiliate allowing you... Sorry?
Spoiler, thanks for throwing that one in there, Lise.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I just thought I'd give people, our listeners, a sneaky heads up. Talking about, is your affiliate allowing you to build a life for yourself? Or are you existing in your life for the affiliate? And when we talk about health and all things, we cannot overlook that of the affiliate owner. And, we've often said here that the role of a business is to support the life of, and the life goals of the person owning said business. But we find when people go into the affiliates, by and large, then that thing dictates their life, not supports their life. And their goals are around that thing surviving and giving it everything. So, we're going to have a fun, insightful chat about that next week. But I think that ties into this bigger health conversation as well.
Yeah, I mean, again, the absence of why is what's become wise. And this becomes a huge issue to every single affiliate. In that, what I mean by that statement is that if you don't continually remind people as to why they're doing this or what their why is, and really remind them also what your gym's why is, they will look to other places of inspiration. And for most of them, that is looking to HQ. And so what you end up having in most of these affiliates is a gym full of people who are loyal to the brand CrossFit, but not loyal to the affiliate that is providing it them. And this is why you see a lot of them jump ship, move gyms, because for them, any place they can do the thing is suitable, right? But if you start to remind people why they do it, where they do it matters a lot less, but why they do it matters a lot more. And what they do matters less, because why is the thing that they're doing, right? And I never really love talking about that because I do think it's lost on people, but I think it's incredibly important because, I'm biased, of course, in this, but like there's very few things in my life. Actually, there's truly nothing in my life that I've done longer than CrossFit. Like I've
Mm.
never in my life done anything for 17 years except for have my name, I suppose, right? Like truly, like I have done nothing.
Mm.
I've always shifted and changed and evolved, but like one thing has been consistent for literally the last 20 years of my life is CrossFit. And CrossFit truly changed my life. And that's not word salad. That's not cliche.
Mm.
It did, but it didn't do it because I had record low body fat and I competed at the CrossFit games and I did really well in the open. I've had my runs at that and my distractions with that, but it did it because CrossFit changed who I was. It changed
Mm.
everything about who I am as a person. And so much so that people who know me from like my past would not even understand how to communicate with me in my current state. My behavior has changed, my psychology has changed, my viewpoint of the world has changed, my uh, uh, my appearance of opportunities, my belief in myself. I mean, the list can go on and on and on, and none of that has anything to do with my back squat number,
Mm.
right? And we don't need to get into the nuts and bolts as to why that happens, but I can tell you that if you start attending things like the Health Summit, you'll start piecing these things together to be like, oh yeah, that's actually what happened with me. And like embracing those
Mm.
challenges and failing daily has allowed plasticity in my brain. It allowed me to rewire my brain and understand how to better affect and judge and make the better decisions about my behaviors. And like, because what you see coming out of CrossFit truly, and I'll climb up on a soapbox and say this, is that we are the longest running social engineering experiment that I've ever seen
Mm.
happen. Meaning there are effectively millions of people unknowingly engaged in a true social engineering experiment. In that, what happens when you take a person and you inject them into a high intensity, high risk, not like in terms of danger, but like high risk of failure, high risk of like vulnerability, a high risk situation, and a metered to low level of failure. What happens if you do that with them? Not once a day, but 5 days a week for 5+ years throughout time. Every single person I know who's ever done CrossFit for more than even a year is unrecognizable. And I don't mean physically.
Mm.
Like truly, yeah, I mean that comes along with it, but like they become better people. Like everybody says it. It's a cliche talking point. Like, oh yeah, see, people get promotions and they get better lives and like this and that. And they're like,
Mm.
no one really like we love that that's happening, but why is that
Mm.
happening? It's not
Mm.
because you're getting fitter in terms of like your ability to exercise faster. It's because there's other aspects of fitness as well, right? There's emotional, spiritual, mental, and those things all work alongside that physical development. And
Mm.
so what we're seeing is this happen in what's cool about the Health Summit is that we have people outside of the ecosystem, other doctors, other platforms, other influencers noticing that like, hey, there's something different about these affiliates. Like,
Mm.
because there's no shortage of F45s, Orange Theories, boot camps, et cetera, that are happening, right? But like, it's not producing the same output that seems to be almost happening on accident inside these
Mm.
affiliates. And until you guys realize the magic of that, you're not going to charge for it, nor are you going to sell it because you don't even realize it's happening. And so
Mm.
getting to be a part of the Health Summit is getting the opportunity to see the magic for what's actually happening in your affiliate. Because when you spend every day of your life, every week, every month, every year for 10 years in your affiliate, and you see the same things, you become blind, you become tone deaf. You don't realize, you forget
Mm.
what's happening in a normal gym. You forget what's
Mm.
happening in a knockoff CrossFit gym, like because you don't know what and then you see it at a level like this, and you have these people come in and they talk about these things, and you're like, oh yeah, I mean, I guess I do have a few hundred members who don't have diabetes.
Mm.
That's weird. I do have a few hundred people who aren't obese and
Mm.
are not on medication. Like you can't go into an airport, a shopping mall, or grocery store and lump everybody together and be like, all right, show of hands. Who's here? Who's not on medicine? No hands would
Mm.
go up, right? Who here? Like,
Mm.
but you would go into a CrossFit gym and be like, who here is on less than one, chronic medication a day? The answer would be like,
Mm.
I don't know. I'm not, like, and we just don't realize it because
Mm.
we've been playing it every single day, right? It's like growing up in a musical household. You don't realize that other people don't know how to play instruments.
Mm. And it's the information, and I know that there's, we talk about the access to that information. We said at the start about, there maybe there needs to be the health summit in other countries and whatever, and it just sparked my memory that even if you can't make it physically to Austin this weekend, you can still register online, which will access you all the panel discussions, all of the good stuff, and those resources, and to get you started along that particular path and that journey of understanding that, okay, I think I'm different. I want to be different. I want to do more of what I say I'm doing. How do I get started on that journey, and how do I start talking that walk, or walking that talk?
Yeah, I can't tell you what's a good use for your time and your money. That's up to you.
Mm.
I can tell you that if I draw a continuum and I put distraction on one side and I put traction on the other side, and I evaluate where you're at in a business, and you
Mm.
tell me where you're trying to get to, and I plot them on that continuum, just like you do for your clients in terms of how sick they are and what fitness actually looks like. I can tell you that it's pretty easy to be busy and to get to that middle part of that continuum in business. You
Mm.
can be busy all day, every day inside an affiliate doing things that need to, or at least feel like they need to be done. Especially
Mm.
when you're running a training program, or you get into eras like the Open and stuff like that, where it's like there's scores to submit and review and judges courses and this and that. Like, the question is, and the fundamental question is this use of my time moving me forward or responding to yesterday?
Mm.
And if you can effectively understand how to apply that simple lesson to all things that you do, and you can make sure more of your decisions are an investment for tomorrow
Mm.
and less of them are responding to yesterday, you can guarantee you move forward. That's how fitness works as well as how everything works, right? Like, if you spend most of your day working on your weaknesses in fitness instead of just responding to what's on the whiteboard, you're going to move better, because you can be very busy in CrossFit, but that doesn't necessarily
Mm.
mean, just like what happens every year in the Open when the muscle up shows up and no one can do one, right? Or handstand push up, everybody complains about the standards. It's like, well,
Mm.
how much of your year did you spend intentionally working on your weaknesses, or how much of
Mm.
it did you spend reacting and responding to what you failed at yesterday?
Mm. And that's the big question, isn't it? Is that, am I reacting? Am I responding? Or is this something that I have planned? And, like we said, the Open shouldn't be a surprise each year. It's coming. The Open is coming. If you're being thoughtful about your business, it's, well, what does my yearly plan look like? Oh, I've got the Open. It's going to be at this time. It's kind of like Christmas. We know when it is. What do I need to do around that time so that I don't drop focus on all of the other things? So if I know I need shirts for the crew, great. Well, maybe I can plan that in to start doing that stuff in January, and it allows business as usual to continue, so you can continue with that core mission, as well as going, this is a great community event. It's participatory. We have a great deal of fun in the community, and our tribe loves it, and that's great. But you haven't dropped all of the other important balls that you have in the air to keep the affiliate living its core purpose.
I mean, it's even simpler than that. The cheat code of business, truly, delegate the distractions, invest in the intentions. That's it, right? Like, if you can do that, if you can, let's just say, just delegate the Open, right? I guarantee you there's a member in your gym who would love to be the president of the Open. Guarantee it. But that would
Yep.
that would require you to remove your ego from it, your importance and your self-validation, your self-worth, et cetera, from your training program, where that's the only place you get validation. That's a different conversation. But if you can delegate all the distractions, all the emails, all the phone calls, all the conversations, all the things that will always be present, if you can delegate them to team members and employees so that you can focus on your intentions that only you can do as a business owner, which is, remembering your why, building your vision, pursuing your just cause, growing this business, the things that only you can do, it's so obvious how fast the business would grow. But if adversely, you only spend time on those things when you have time, and you spend the rest of your time on the distractions because you can't get good help these days and no one wants to do these things, that's the issue, right? Like it's very much that simple.
And, you know, to head down the path of maybe potentially another spoiler alert, I guess, for things we've got on the boil, it's as if you want to engineer your affiliate for success.
I see what you did there. Well, this is not necessarily probably an affiliate thing, but if you wanted to save the entirety of the affiliate model from suffering, I think you could do so with one question. And that question should have been posed to them from the beginning. And if you want to know why I think you should be at the health summit and why I think that's a good use of your time versus the judge's course, is the question that would save so much suffering in so many businesses is simple. How do you plan to sell this thing? Not to sell the whole company, but if somebody asked you in the beginning, when you just said, I'm going to open up a CrossFit gym, if somebody's next question was, that's amazing, how do you plan to sell it? Meaning sell your product or service. And then forced you to focus on the answer to that, you would have likely come up with a huge point of awareness that would have provoked action and been like, I don't know. Because the vast majority of not just affiliates, most small businesses, it's a field of dreams scenario. Every small business thinks if they build it, they will come. They're like, I'm going to build the best. Everybody's going to show up. And then they build it and they don't show up, right? Or if they do show up, you have to engage in manipulation to keep them instead of inspiration. If you want to build a business, you have to learn to inspire people, not manipulate them. And to do that starts with understanding what it is that you actually are selling, why it's valuable, and what value, by valuable, I mean, what value does it provide to the people? And if you're not going to go to the health summit and see there's very few things in the world, look at the valuation of pharmaceutical companies, that are worth more money than saving people's lives. I can tell you it's worth a lot more money than sending people to wherever the games end up next year. And it's not to say that, being a games athlete isn't a representation of fitness, health, and otherwise. It's just that takes a training program, and training programs don't have the same value proposition as literally getting somebody off of a terminal prescription or medication. And for that reason, attending things like the health summit and investing time in learning about the possible implication and researching the application that you could possibly have on fixing and reversing some of these chronic diseases in the world is worth way more than how many days a week you want to come and what's the programming. But again, a lot of people who own affiliates, they don't want to do that, and that's okay. But we need to know the difference between the two of them. Their business models are completely different.
And I think that, and you're right, that question should be posed very early on, because I think even to a degree, the affiliate owner needs to understand, which one it is, because as we said at the start, you get stuck in that this is what my intentions are, but then my actions get swayed by all the pretty shiny things and the annoying distractions as well. And suddenly
we're pretty open with the fact that we don't work with everybody, right? We can't. It would be impossible for us, and we don't have any illusions as such. But the question usually comes up, well, who do you work with then? Like, how do I know if I'm that person? Well, I can tell you that if you live within a reasonable commute to get to that summit and you're at that summit, you're probably our people. But if you're within, a 5 to 6 hour drive and you have reasonable means to attend it and you don't book a consult with us. Because you're just not, and it's not to say that I'm judging you because you didn't attend the summit. I'm just saying that we aren't here, nor do we have the resources, nor the intention of fixing training affiliates. We have all the intention of fixing small businesses who are in pursuit of bigger visions and whys. And that's just a little bit bigger than training. And some of you guys might accidentally be a training affiliate, though, who want to become that thing. You're still our people.
And that's, I think, one of the things that does set us apart is we're very clear about who are our people and, our why and who we're here to support, which makes it very easy to make those decisions about, instead of getting stuck in the distraction of, we need 800 clients. Well, no, we are a coaching business, not a training business. So we don't want to give 800 people the same neatly cookie cutted press template for success. We want to coach with you on your individual dream, because
It's just not the mark I want to leave on the world. It's not to say there's anything wrong with that. It's not to say that we couldn't do it. It's just that all of this is really effectively my swan song, truly. Like, am I leaving the fitness industry and the CrossFit space? Someday, truly. My plan though is to never leave with anything undone. Anything that any knowledge, any advice, any information, any guidance, any conversation that I can possibly give, my goal is to give it before saying goodbye. And that's all this thing was built on, is, helping people understand what it is that they're not paying attention to. And that's not, you don't do that by distracting you with telling you what to do. And it's better to ask you, what would you like to do if you could do anything? Those answers are fascinating. That's so much fun. That's the world I want to be a part of, where people believe in themselves and their own missions and their own values, right? As opposed to the world that we currently live in, where everybody doubts themselves and all they really want is answers to the test and someone to tell them what to do so that they don't have to be failures. And if you're one of those people, that's fine. I don't want anybody to fail. I want everyone to win your own way. But it's a lot cooler when you believe in yourself and your ability to solve your own problems.
And I think that's probably a good note to stick a pin in this. I think that's a big part of the powerful conversation today is why some of these things are really important, more so than just giving the answers to the test, and why we're so passionate about what we do and the way that we do it and the people that we get to work with. So the Health Summit is this weekend. If you can't be there in person, you can register for online and you get access to all the cool stuff. Tony will be down there. You're going for Fit Affiliate, yes? So make sure back to Texas. Make sure you stop past if you are going to the summit, stop past the Fit Affiliate booth. I know that he has some cool conversations just waiting to have, even though you don't know yet. But I'm quite sure that if you stop by and say hello, Tony will be more than happy to talk to you in that. And we've probably got some surprises down there as well.
You can also just use the code FitAffiliate10 and get 10% off your registration to the Health Summit too. So do that. And if you do that, that's 10% off. But if you come and you sign up there, you can get access to the webinar where I'll teach you. Yes, I said teach you, not coach you. I will teach you how to apply the things you learned that weekend to your business model so that you can make way more money than it will ever cost you to be there. And as well as give you guys a discount for attending, because the goal is, I don't want you guys to have to spend money to get there, but things cost money. So put your money where your mouth is, and I'll get you that money back and then some, but you got to show up first.
Perfect. Excellent. All right. Good, sir. Thank you for your chat. Have an amazing time at the summit, and I look forward to hearing all about it when you get back.
Say that like I'm not going to see you right after this.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's show. Please remember to like and subscribe on your favorite platform. And if you know an affiliate owner, a coach, or entrepreneur that would benefit from hearing our conversations, please share this with them. We love the feedback and support we have from you guys, our audience. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can find all the useful links in the show notes. We would love to connect with you. Keep doing the great work.